The following is a presentation of Muddy River News.
Tower Pizza and Mexican offers a full menu of pizza, wings, and Mexican favorites. Try the shrimp tacos, fajitas, or a Jeff's special pizza. Extra sauce, pepperoni, sausage, ham, and mushrooms, all on their homemade crust. Tower Pizza and Mexican, 2701 Broadway, Quincy.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Daily Muddy. I'm Ashley Conrad. Joining me today, Mary Frances Barthel with Blessing Hospital. How are you, Mary?
Doing very well, thank you.
Good. Now, is it Mary or Mary Frances?
Mary Frances.
Mary Frances. Love that name. So you are the Chief Quality and Safety Officer. Did I get it right?
Yes, you did.
It only took me a couple of times, guys. Anyway, thank you for joining us. Today, we're going to talk about something that I believe is very important to our community, and of course you do as well, since you are advocating for it, which is great, so thank you ahead of time. And that is respite care, right, and treatment for the homeless population in and around our community.
Yes.
Correct?
Correct.
So I think everyone knows that homelessness is it does exist in Quincy. It does exist in surrounding communities. It exists even in the schools in our local community, which in and of itself is heartbreaking. But then to think about anyone going through a medical treatment or crisis, or be it long-term or short-term, if they don't have the surroundings to allow them to get better, there really is no way for them to get better and contribute to society. So I'll let you kind of explain this a little bit more, but I just wanted to give just kind of some foundation on what I thought it was and see if I was right, for one, and then to ask you some questions about this program and the plan for it. So sure. Why don't you give us your take on what this program is and why it's necessary?
Great, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my background on this project really started with our work with the community for a community health needs assessment. And so Blessing, along with the United Way and the health department, do a needs assessment every 3 years. And this past cycle, homelessness was one of the key projects that we decided to work on that was a very high need. The number of people in this area that have housing insecurity is rising. And so we looked at a few different strategies to address that, because of course there's different levels of
sure.
home insecurity. So some people are at risk of losing their home. Some people are on a short-term rental lease and having difficulty making the next payment. Some people are living with friends, or some people are living in their car, or some people are at the Salvation Army and at a homeless shelter. And so with those different levels, also comes different challenges to those people. And so we did identify that there is a population very at risk that has medical problems, and they might need to be hospitalized. But then when their acute medical condition has been addressed, often there's just no safe place for them to go to continue healing and to continue recovery.
Right. And we did I talked yesterday to Tammy Har about it's the skilled nursing, right, which is for patients who can go in short term, right, but for patients who don't have, really don't qualify for that maybe, or even after they leave from the Blessing facility, what happens then, right? And you did mention different levels of homelessness. So the plan in place right now is, so correct me if I'm wrong, but it includes Blessing Hospital along with multiple other agencies, I think around 10 in the area, that are coming together to join resources to even decide on the feasibility of this program, and then moving forward develop a plan in place. So what are kind of the steps that go into not only the feasibility study and the discovery, if you will, of how this will work, but qualifiers of the level of homelessness, and also what will be provided or how capable we are as a community or agency to provide these needs?
So as you said, the stage of this project is a planning phase and a feasibility study. We'll be looking at different location options. So where might this care be provided? That's where our partner agencies come in. We also are part of a learning collaborative, so we learn from other facilities, other programs, how they did it.
Sure.
Some models use hotel rooms, for example. Other models have designated facilities that are able to house patients during their medical respite care. So we'll be learning what the options are, working with our partners on deciding what some options might be here locally for us. And then on the Blessing side, we're doing a lot to choose what level of services we can provide.
Sure.
So there are 4 different levels of medical respite programs, starting out with very basic case management kind of style, and then escalating all the way up to a 24/7 kind of facility. And so as far as the medical side of that goes, Blessing is really able to offer any level of care that a patient might need.
Right.
We even have a hospital from home program right now where we're offering hospital level care in patients' homes. And so the level of medical care could be pretty diverse, but we'll need to establish what kind of location that we might be able to use, and then staffing that location.
Right.
What does that look like?
You got a tough job ahead of you. I will say that is big. Again, it's necessary because, as we said, health is, without health, you have basically nothing. So in order to continue moving forward, this is definitely necessary for anyone experiencing, insecurities as far as homes are concerned. Now, the planning stage, so you've already started the plan and they've already come together, is that what you said?
We've had one meeting together. So we've had a couple of meetings internal in Blessing, just with a team of folks that are working on the medical side. And then we've had one meeting with our community partners as well, just to kick it off and start talking about a timeline. I think we meet again in March. And by then, we will have participated in more of those collaborative calls.
Okay.
So we have a better understanding of what our options are.
Right. And then is the idea to come up with some kind of like a master, I hate to use the word master plan when it comes to something like this, but it is, in essence, a business plan of how you plan to accomplish this and where funds will be allocated. I would assume that that's just going to be a giant job, especially. It's great that you have so many agencies involved, but the more people you have involved, it just gets a little sticky, right? So the resources are going to be great. The planning is going to be long and intense, but again, thank you for putting in the effort. I think it's definitely something that, in my mind, Quincy needs. I don't want anyone to not have basic human needs. That's just that's my heart. Now there are some people, and I'm not naysaying them, but there will be some people that say, well, this is, grant money, which is government funded, which comes from taxpayers. And, if they don't necessarily agree with this, what would you say to people? Because there will be some. We all know that the keyboard warriors exist out there, right? So someone's going to have an opinion about this that doesn't go along with what the rest of us think, right? So what would you say to them?
Well, this project stems from a pool of money that the governor of Illinois has actually set aside specifically to address homelessness with the goal of eradicating homelessness in the state of Illinois.
Okay.
So those funds are already designated for this purpose, and this is a small portion of that that goes for development of medical respite programs. Many of which have been very successful.
I was going to ask, are there other pilot programs? Because you did mention a pilot program that will take kind of a smaller group, if you will.
So there are 3 stages of the medical respite planning. The first stage is what we're in right now, is the feasibility study. Mm-hmm. The next is a pilot program where we would take a couple of patients or a couple of types of medical issues, and we would run those folks through the program and just see how it goes.
Right.
And then the third stage would be a full implementation of a program.
Gotcha. Yeah. And there have been programs like this that have been successful.
Yes, very.
Yeah, that's great.
Yep.
Well, good luck. Again, I want to thank you for taking this on. I know that it is, while it is important, it is going to be a big job, but again, necessary. So thank you so much. And I appreciate you coming on to chat with me about it.
Thanks very much.
All right.
Good to be here.
Absolutely. Coming up next, I sit down with Meg Duncan and we do a recap on all things Hannibal. Stay tuned.
Instant Replay is your local sports bar. With 18 big screen TVs, we have all the sports packages from college games to pro games. We offer daily drink specials, and come check out the Bullpen, our newly renovated beer garden. Instant Replay, 2739 Chestnut in Quincy.
Welcome to the Abbey, a Quincy tradition. With 6 big screens, a new larger kitchen, and now more seating capacity, the Abbey is the place to be. Before, during, and after the big game. Come enjoy fan favorite appetizers, steaks, burgers, and a variety of daily food and drink specials. Can't join us? Carryout is available too. Now with a convenient drive-up window to better serve you. 1736 Spring in Quincy. Opens at 3 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday. Come join all your friends at the Abbey, a Quincy tradition.
Kelly's has been a fun place to eat and drink in Quincy since 1982. A fun and friendly atmosphere, food with flavor, homemade cinnamon rolls, and famous cheese soup, the best menu in town. Kelly's, 2902 Broadway, Quincy.
Are you looking for the perfect venue for your next special event? Check out Utopia Event Center. Utopia has a large banquet room and an awesome bar area, perfect for anything from birthday parties to formal corporate meetings. It also offers a photo booth, stage for a DJ or a live band, and a fully stocked bar, all for only $300. Check us out at utopiaeventcenter.com or call Barn at 217-430-6559 for more information. Utopia Event Center, 900 North 12th Street in Quincy.
The Liquor Booth is your home for a huge selection of beer, wine, and spirits. The Liquor Booth has 2 locations in Quincy, 3520 Broadway and 1500 North 12th Street. The Liquor Booth, where it's always happy hour.
And welcome back. Now it's time for Twain Talk with Meg Duncan. How's it going?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you.
New year, new seat.
Yeah, right? You said this is your good side, so we're gonna
It is. I mean,
we're gonna roll with it.
I mean, I feel weird saying
She
that.
said she feels weird saying it. Let's be honest. Everybody has a good side. I'm not sure
think
which
so, too.
one mine is, but we're
Yeah.
just going to go with it.
Yeah, it is kind of weird from over here. Like, I'm not used to it.
I like it.
I do too.
Changing it up.
Yeah.
And speaking of changing it up, we have some new stuff to talk about, of course, because there's always something going on in Hannibal. But to kick things off, let's just do a quick 2023 recap
Yeah.
of all of the excitement that happened in Hannibal and with you, maybe. Right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So, where to start?
I don't know. You tell me, girl, because
That's right.
there was always something happening. Of
Yeah.
course, it's always nice to see you, but you had
It's
some
always nice to
some
see you.
great news, some not so great news, some
Yeah.
interesting stuff, and some
Absolutely.
real juicy tea.
I mean, Hannibal definitely had such a transformative year when it came to the city itself. You know, there were so many new people and, you know, some people that left. We had the city clerk situation.
Yep.
You know, that dragged on a while.
Yes, it sure did.
Yep. And she was not reappointed. And so now we have another clerk, and she's great. I
Yeah.
mean, she just does a great job, and her name is
Escaping you?
Escaping
I could tell,
me.
yeah. I could tell. That's all right. That's
She's wonderful, and I
she's
talk to
new
her
and
all
she's
the
doing
time.
well, and maybe the reason we can't remember her name is not a bad thing. Because,
Yeah.
you know,
that's a good point.
Right? Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yep.
Well,
So-
you know I know your name if you're watching, and I'm sorry because she's great.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then of course we had the mayor resign, and as I've said before, you know, that was a lot of just I think needing a peace.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm done with drama.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we've got Barry Louderman stepped in for James Hark and was voted in. So the election, that was a first for me, election.
Yeah.
That was fun.
That was, I'm sure, interesting.
It was fun.
So you knew a lot of the candidates. One still remains a mystery,
Oh,
right?
yeah, which is interesting to me. We had, you know, with the election, we had, you know, Barry Louderman and Christy Trevathan. Both were just great to talk to and very forthcoming. And then there's Stephen Collier, and he was the mystery mayor.
Yeah.
And so we never were able to reach him. And so now he's running for the school board.
Which is so interesting.
It is so interesting. So I really do want to talk to him. And I've definitely, I definitely have some, I think that I'm going to get to. So I'm excited to sort of just be like, so do you want the positions?
right. Or are you just trying to throw a wrench in things? Which would be interesting. I'm sure you have a ton of questions for him. So that's just that's a nice teaser for hopefully the next time we talk, right?
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah,
Yeah.
because school board meeting is, or school board elections will be, coming up.
Yeah.
So April. So that's going to be interesting to see what happens there, to see if he campaigns. And I do want to talk to him and be like,
who are you and what are you about?
yeah,
Right?
do you just like to sign up for things? I mean, I do that too sometimes, I guess. I've definitely signed up on the school list, like cupcakes.
Or like those entries where you're like, you know what, this is never going to happen. I'm just throwing my name in here, and then all of a sudden you get a call and you've won, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't really happen to me, but
It happened to me one time.
yeah.
Where, we won meat from
Meat? Oh,
a
that's a
butcher.
great
Yeah.
That's a great gift.
It really was.
Yeah.
It was my son. He was 6 at the time. He put his name in and he won all the meat.
There you go. There you go. But back to kind of the recap. So you had something, I mean, of course, Hannibal has traditions like, Twain on Main. And,
Yes.
But you also had new events. You had some that came back, such as like the steampunk, right?
Yeah, steampunk. And then, of course, there's always the festivals that are just the best.
Yeah.
Our fall festival. I honestly have no brain power right now.
You're all right. Just can't remember.
I mean, I go every year.
Well, it's 2024.
Folk
and
Life
it's early
Festival.
on,
What
so-
is wrong with me?
There you go. Folk Life.
Folk
All right.
Life, 4th of July. There were just some really great stories to find this year. Everywhere you go, a lot of great businesses that have opened up. The Friendship Brewery's open now, and that's been great. There's been so much that has happened.
Yeah.
So
it seems like Hannibal just moving right along. And I know the
Yeah.
Riverview Park, there's some improvements happening there.
That's right.
The boats that came in, I mean, there's just so much happening, and it always seems like it's moving Hannibal in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Which is great news. And even if you do have some of that drama that is kind of inevitable, I think, in any community, any
Every
town,
community, absolutely.
it's good to know that you can move past it. And one of the things
Yeah.
you said when you first came in was really interesting to me, that the last city council meeting, right, was eventful in one way, and kind of uneventful, or not even, I don't know which word it is, but in the other way, right?
Yeah.
So
I'm impressed to say that city council seems to just have. They're just more peaceful now.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I don't think that it's necessarily the result of anything like, oh, well, this person left or this person left. I think there's been somewhat of a people's voice saying, you guys got to get along.
get your blank together.
Yeah, I do think that. I think that people finally got their voices out to them, like, look, we need you to get along. We need you to show each other respect. And I'm seeing that, and I think it's awesome. I mean, it's so much better to sit in the meetings and watch them treat each other with respect and nicer,
And
in
I can
general.
imagine more gets done, because when
Absolutely.
you're bickering and you're just trying to be right, which Brittany and I talked about yesterday, that,
Yeah.
that's what a lot of people's agenda is, just trying to be right.
Just trying to be right.
But yeah,
Yes.
when you finally come to learn to offer respect and kind of earn it,
Yes.
then you get to move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And voices are just heard better when you're not insulting each other. And, things get done better when people aren't on their high defenses all the time.
Right.
You
And
know?
when you're appointed by the people, when you're voted in, you owe them at least that. I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that spirit of working together is something that should be first priority, because it's better for everyone. So I have noticed that they definitely have adopted that more.
Excellent.
And that, definitely. Some of them that traditionally don't go along at all, I'm noticing like some working together of, and I'm like, wow, good for you.
Yeah.
I just want to stand up and do what you did.
Exactly.
Like, look
they
at you
deserve
guys.
a round of applause.
Yes.
So we will give that to them.
Yeah.
So if you didn't have a lot of bickering and you didn't have the back and forth, what did happen to the last meeting?
Yeah, so it was 26 minutes long.
Okay.
And, I didn't complain about that because
Right.
I got home for supper.
Absolutely.
And so really what's a lot of what's going on in City Council right now is a lot of talk about just restoring a lot of derelict buildings.
Okay.
That is one thing in Hannibal. If you look around, while we have such a sweet area, but there's definitely older buildings that are just kind of, eyesores
Right.
around and probably not safe.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of focus on what to do with that. You know, some of that is that a lot of it is going back to the city. You
Okay.
know, they're ending up with all of these properties. And it's funny because, well, I wouldn't say funny, but when you go to the meetings, like you see a lot of people that are buying up these properties for like $500
Yeah.
and just insanely low prices. Of course, they're not they're abandoned and
Sure. They
you
need
know,
work. They need some love.
yeah, and and some of them I think are even vacant lots. But there's actually a spot on their website where you can find all the addresses of those places. There are like 70 on that list.
Really?
I think I counted like 69, unless I miscounted. It's around 70 though.
So these are primarily private buyers.
These are private homes
Okay.
that the owners actually just walked away from.
Gotcha.
And so they ended up were
bank-owned
surrendered
or-
to the city.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding.
Gotcha.
If I'm wrong, sorry. So anyway, Mike Dobson, and of course the biggest problem is the big buildings, like obviously St. Elizabeth's,
Yeah.
the old hospital. That's a huge one.
Right.
So basically the houses, when the city gets kind of stuck with the demolition of those places, like just the houses, Mike Dobson was saying, he's District 2, I think. He was saying how those houses cost like $10,000 to $15,000 per house to tear down.
Okay.
And then you've got a place like St. Elizabeth's that, they said they're not 100% sure what that number will be, but definitely into the millions
Sure.
to tear down. And
Yeah.
you don't think about that, but actually if you do, when you sit and think about it, it makes sense why it would be so much to tear down.
Absolutely. But then so the taxpayers in Hannibal.
Footing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so Mike Dobson had brought up, and I thought it was a good conversation between all of them, how to make people, responsible for the buildings that they purchase from the get-go. I mean, obviously, it's not going to help what's there now, but like he said, in the future, if they make them, or require them to maybe have like some form of insurance to show, or
Sure.
something where, hey, 50 years from now, we're not going to be stuck with this huge bill
Right.
of a building that was nice 50 years ago and now it's falling apart and
Sure.
has become a danger to the community. So they're working on that. That was a big thing they were talking about last night.
A plan on how to avoid this in the future.
Yeah. And Stephen Franke said, that with the homes themselves, it depends. I mean, if you can require that, it may end up being actually more trouble than it's worth when it comes to trying to make those requirements. And then
Right.
James Lemon was also talking about the fact that, how many requirements can they put on
Right.
private owners?
Sure.
So it's a question, but I'm excited to see kind of what they come up with. And then all the properties now, they've formed a committee that they're kind of working to see what can happen. So I would love to see the kind of shambled buildings around just, be either restored or something along those lines.
Yeah. So in Quincy, we have what we call fix or flatten, but I'm curious to see if Hannibal kind of looks around to see what other people have done, what other cities have done in this.
Yeah.
Not saying that Quincy's doing it the best way, because I also wonder the same about
no.
Quincy, but
No. Actually, that's something James Lemon brought up. He
Yeah.
said that's something he plans to do is look around. He said they tend to rely on or look back to the St. Louis area quite
Yeah,
a bit, like the
for
little
sure.
surrounding areas, to see what they're doing. So that's definitely, you want to draw from things that have worked.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
That's a great way to do it. So it looks like we'll be doing some of that too. So I'm excited to see kind of what happens coming up.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a little more familiar with the city council. At the start of the year, I sort of walked in and I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing.
I mean, it's got to be intimidating, especially since you're from that area.
Yes.
And it's such a small area. I mean, Quincy is small, but
Yeah.
big enough that you don't know everyone's name. So
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
imagine that writing something that is a little deeper maybe kind of tough because you don't
is.
want to offend. Plus, I know
Yes.
you,
Yeah.
and I know that you are the last person to hurt anyone's feelings or to
I
write
hate
anything.
doing that.
But right, I
Yes.
know. But one thing Brittany and I talked about yesterday is, we do report things. Muddy River News, is
Yeah.
the we there, but we report things through the courts and through City Council
Yeah.
and try to leave personal feelings out of it.
Yes.
So, and you've been doing an amazing job with
thank
your
you.
writing. But I know
I
that your
appreciate
writing
that.
generally. It's very heartfelt and
Thank you.
genuine.
Thank you.
So switching that on and off is probably a little more difficult.
Yeah, actually, that is something that I absolutely struggle with.
Yeah.
Because I grew up in Hannibal, and if I don't know that person, well, I know their wife.
Yeah, right.
Or their dad, or and that is very, very hard. Because I genuinely love people.
Yeah.
And I don't, and
It's
and
obvious.
Yeah.
You can tell.
Thank you.
Yes.
And so I try to just leave that all at the doorstep, and just instead of worrying so much about, I hope that I do worry about it, but
Yeah, it's okay. It's human nature.
Yeah, yeah.
I was just curious how you did it.
but I just try with all of my heart to be fair.
Yeah.
Because if you tell one person's story, then I want to make sure to give that other person their side of the story. And
Mm-hmm.
and I will say that hasn't always been possible. There's situations where that hasn't been possible. And one of those is when there's litigation involved.
Right.
That makes it real hard because one side can just say their piece, and
Yep.
the other side's like, I can't because there's litigation.
Right.
So that does make it hard, and I have really felt bad about that in certain situations where it is a little bit hard to get that other side. However, that side should come out.
Sure.
So it's just a matter of following. But absolutely, I have sat and just really submit and just I hope not that everybody's okay with it, but I hope that my words produce a good result, that they're productive.
Yeah.
And not hot stirring for no reason.
Sure.
Or, you know what I mean?
Thought provoking, but not
Yes.
in a way that creates drama that is unnecessary.
Yeah.
Right?
That's the perfect
Yeah.
description. Absolutely. That's what I don't want to do.
Yeah.
There's
well,
no
I
reason
think
for
that
it.
you've done a really, really fantastic job so far, and I have no doubt that you're going to carry that through
Thank
the
you.
rest of 2024.
That means a lot. You
Yeah.
always do a fantastic job. And so does Brittany, who is
Yeah.
over there.
I think the women in this group really hold it together, and I'm not ashamed to say that.
Me either.
Yeah,
I love it. And
Yeah.
I love how supportive everybody is. I
course.
mean, I know I can text either one of you and you guys are just the best.
Yeah,
So
ditto.
yeah, seriously. I love it. So it's been a great year and I'm excited.
Yes.
I just love you all.
I said 2024 is going to be a stellar year, and I
Yep.
have no doubt Hannibal is going to follow suit, and I cannot wait to hear more about what's going to happen in the future. So,
too.
Yeah. All right. Well, next time we will talk more about Stephen Collier.
Yeah.
And the mystery of his campaigning.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, I'm excited.
All
If
right,
you're
cool.
watching this, then
Stay tuned for next
yeah.
time, right?
Yeah.
All right, Meg. It was so good to see
You
you.
too.
Happy 2024.
You too.
All right. I think that does it for today. We'll catch you back here tomorrow for Club Muddy.
Muddy River News. Our home, our news.